What if you spent your entire life running from a promise you made to yourself? What if one decision, one moment of doubt, of fear, defined your entire future? Elias Whitmore never thought he would be the kind of man to abandon his dreams. But life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect. This is the story of a man who once had a vision, a purpose, a destiny, and the day he was forced to confront the dream he left behind. Not everyone dreams of being rich. Not everyone wants power, fame, or recognition. Some people just want to create something that lasts. That's the kind of man Elias Whitmore was. He wasn't a businessman or a politician. He didn't chase wealth or titles. He was just a stonemason, a man with rough hands and a heart full of vision. Rivermore was a small town, the kind where everyone knew each other's names. It was quiet, peaceful, but forgotten by the rest of the world. And Elias? He wanted to change that. Not with money, not with politics, but with stone. Right in the heart of Rivermore, Elias envisioned a monument. Not just any monument, one that would tell the story of the town, its people, and their resilience. A place where generations could gather, where history could be preserved in stone. It wasn't just about building something. It was about belonging. Each stone he placed wasn't just a block of rock. It was a piece of his soul. But dreams don't always come easy. And soon, Elias would learn the painful price of believing in something too much. At first, people admired Elias's work. Every day, as the sun rose over Rivermore, Elias would be out there, hammer in hand, chiseling away at his dream. Children would stop by, watching in awe as he carved symbols and patterns into the stone. Elders nodded in approval. Townsfolk praised his dedication. It felt like, maybe, just maybe, he was building something that truly mattered. But then, the doubts crept in. Is this really necessary? Someone whispered at the market. We could use that land for something else. Another muttered. At first, Elias ignored them. A dream worth building is a dream worth defending, right? But then, the resistance became real. One day, town officials cut the funding. They called it impractical, a waste of resources. Then, his workers began quitting, one by one. Some left because they needed paying jobs, others, because they didn't see the point anymore. And slowly, the excitement around the monument faded. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Until, one cold evening, Elias stood before the half-built monument, alone. His hands were bruised, his tools were worn, his spirit was exhausted. And for the first time since he began, he felt foolish. That night, under a sky full of silent stars, Elias made a decision. A decision he would regret for the rest of his life. He walked away. And he never came back. Life has a strange way of moving forward, even when we leave parts of ourselves behind. Elias left Rivermore with nothing but his tools and a bitter taste in his mouth. He told himself he had made the right choice. That he had been wasting his time. That dreams were for foolish men. And in time, he became someone else entirely. In the city, Elias thrived. He climbed the corporate ladder, became a well-respected architect. His hands, once covered in dust and sweat from carving stone, now flipped through blueprints and contracts. He built skyscrapers, shopping malls, grand buildings with glass walls and steel frames. And yet, every night, when he lay in his expensive apartment, staring at the ceiling, he felt nothing. Something was missing. Something he could never quite name. Years passed, decades. And though Elias had everything a man could ask for, money, power, a reputation, he still had the same dream. The unfinished monument. It would come to him in flashes. The rough texture of the stone beneath his fingertips. The sound of his hammer echoing through the quiet streets of Rivermore. The image of the half-built structure, waiting, abandoned. It haunted him. But every morning, he shook it off. It's too late now, he would tell himself. Some things are better left unfinished. And so, he buried it deep inside. Until the day, everything changed. The morning was like any other. Elias sat at his polished wooden desk, flipping through a stack of project proposals. The view from his high-rise office stretched across the entire city. A skyline of steel and glass. Yet, somehow, he had never felt so trapped. That's when his secretary walked in. "Sir, You have a letter. Elias barely looked up. Just leave it on the desk. It's handwritten. He hesitated. In a world of emails and instant messages, who even sent handwritten letters anymore? Curious, he picked it up. The paper was old, the edges slightly worn. And the sender's name? Clara Whitmore. Elias's hands froze. Clara. He hadn't heard that name in years. With trembling fingers, he opened the letter.
Elias. You left something behind. It's still here, waiting for you. Come home.
There was no anger, no accusations. Just an invitation. An invitation to return to the place he had abandoned. An invitation to face what he had run from. He stared at the letter for what felt like hours. Every excuse ran through his mind. I can't go back. It's been too long. The past is the past. And yet, deep down, he knew. There was only one choice. Elias packed his bags that night. And at sunrise, for the first time in 40 years, he went home. The road to Rivermore felt longer than he remembered. As Elias drove through the familiar winding paths, memories rushed back. The smell of fresh bread from the old bakery. The laughter of children playing near the river. The sound of his own hammer striking stone. But now, everything felt different. When he finally entered the town, he expected to see nothing. He expected his monument to be gone. Torn down, forgotten. But what he saw instead made his heart stop. The monument was still there. Standing tall. Stronger than ever. It was complete. His breath caught in his throat. For years, he had convinced himself that his dream had crumbled the moment he left. But somehow, it had survived. The stone carvings he had once started were still there, though weathered by time. And at the base of the monument, he saw something that made his hands tremble. His name. Elias Whitmore, the dreamer who built this. Tears blurred his vision. Who had done this? Who had finished what he abandoned? That's when he heard a voice behind him.
Took you long enough.
He turned. And there, standing with a gentle smile, was Clara. Elias could barely find his voice. He stared at Clara, the childhood friend he hadn't seen in decades. Her hair was streaked with gray now, but her eyes were the same. Kind, warm, knowing. He finally managed to speak. How? Who finished it? Clara chuckled.
You really think we'd let your dream die?
She stepped forward, running a hand along the monument's stone.
You thought people had given up on you, Elias, but you never saw what happened after you left.
She looked at him, her voice gentle but firm.
We didn't abandon your dream, you abandoned us.
Elias swallowed hard. Clara sighed.
When you left, the monument stood half-finished, just a skeleton of what it was supposed to be. At first, people were angry, some thought it should be torn down. But then something happened.
Her smile grew.
The people you inspired, the ones who watched you work, who saw your dedication, they couldn't let it go. One by one, they stepped in. The baker's son learned to carve stone. The schoolteacher donated whatever she could. The farmers, the merchants, the children, they all helped.
Elias felt his chest tighten. He had spent years believing that his dream had died the moment he left. That no one had cared. That all his effort had been for nothing. But now he saw the truth. His dream had never been just his. It had become theirs. And for 40 years, while he lived in regret, Rivermore had been building what he started. Stone by stone. Day by day. Until finally, it was complete. Elias took a shaky breath. I thought I failed. Clara shook her head.
You only fail if you never come back to finish what you started.
Elias turned to the monument, eyes burning. It was beautiful. And yet, something was missing. At the very top, one final stone was absent. A space left unfinished. Elias looked at Clara in confusion. She smiled knowingly.
We left that for you.
Elias's hands trembled as he ran his fingers over the unfinished space at the top of the monument. It was a single missing stone. One final piece. A piece that had waited for 40 years. He turned to Clara. You left this for me. She nodded.
We always knew you'd come back someday.
Elias swallowed the lump in his throat. He had spent decades believing his dream had died. But now, standing before this monument, his monument, he finally understood. Dreams don't die. They just wait. Clara motioned toward a wooden crate nearby. Slowly, Elias knelt down and pulled off the lid. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was a perfectly cut stone. His stone. The one he had carved all those years ago. The town had kept it. Preserved it. Waiting for the day he'd return. His hands, once strong and steady, now felt old and fragile. But as he lifted the stone, it was as if time melted away. The years, the regrets, the doubts, none of it mattered now. With Clara and the townspeople watching, Elias climbed the ladder one last time. Step by step. Higher and higher. Until he reached the top. He took a deep breath. And with the same care and precision he had once known, he set the final stone into place. For a moment, there was silence. Then, cheering. The townspeople, young and old, erupted into applause. Tears welled in Elias's eyes. Not because he had finished something, but because he had finally come home. Clara stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder.
Welcome back, Elias.
He looked at her, smiling through his tears. It's good to be back. And for the first time in 40 years, his heart was whole. Years passed. The monument became more than just a structure of stone. It became a symbol. A symbol of persistence, of unfinished dreams finally completed. Travelers from distant towns came to see it. Schools brought children to learn its story. And Elias? He stayed in Rivermore. Not as a man running from regret, but as a man who had finally found peace. He spent his days teaching young apprentices the art of stone carving. Passing down everything he had learned. And every morning, without fail, he would visit the monument. His monument. Not to admire his own work, but to remember. To remember that no dream is ever truly lost. That sometimes, even when the world seems against us, even when we walk away, the things we build can live on. One evening, long after the sun had set, Clara found Elias sitting at the base of the monument. Gazing up at the structure he had once abandoned. She sat beside him, looking up at the sky. Thinking about the past again, she asked. Elias chuckled softly. No, he smiled, thinking about the future. And with that, Elias Whitmore, the man who once believed he had failed, sat in quiet peace, knowing that his dream would never be forgotten. What if the dreams you gave up on, never gave up on you? Elias's journey proves that no dream is ever truly lost. Maybe there's something in your life waiting to be finished. 2. If you love powerful, thought-provoking stories that leave you inspired, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss one. Tell us in the comments, have you ever walked away from something you wished you finished? What would you do if you had a second chance? New stories coming soon. Stay with us for more unforgettable tales of wisdom, perseverance, and life-changing lessons. Subscribe now and be part of a community that believes in the power of storytelling.